It's award season.
It is for podcasting.
The 12th Annual Podcast Award nominations are now open until July 31st.
You can vote Twin Peaks Unwrapped and get us nominated in 2 categories.
The People's Choice and TV and Film.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. So you please visit www.podcastawards.com.
All you have to do is click on the nominations are open banner, sign up, then vote. It is that easy. It will take less than 5 minutes of your time.
You only have until July 31st when they close voting, so please visit podcastawards.com today.
It is a story of many, but it begins with one. And I knew her. The one leading to the many is Laura Palmer. Laura is the one.
Welcome to this week's edition of Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Bryon Kazowski, and beside me, as always,
is Ben Durant.
Hello, Ben.
Hi, Bryon.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Do you know what next week we're doing is?
Should we tell everybody what we're going to do next week before we get into the show?
Yeah, let's just talk about next week real quick.
All right. So next week, we're going to be recording out of the studio, so bear with us for any audio technical difficulties. We think we have mastered the out of the studio recordings.
I don't think I have.
So I think we might be fine. And then the following week, we hope to do something very special, very big and grand for your ears. I hope it turns out the way I envision it.
Who knows?
We shall see.
Who knows? But we are going to
know.
Washington State in about a week, the Twin Peaks Fest.
I know. Are you excited, Ben?
I am.
Is your inner child like so excited about
Yes,
this?
I cannot control myself. You know, I literally have been waiting 25 years to go to this fest.
No joke.
I know we should get into the show, but I want to give another minute. I got a letter back in 92. And the letter was saying that there was going to be a festival. And the stars from the Twin Peaks Fest, per New Line, the ones that did Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, they distributed it. And they basically said the fest was happening. And I was so excited. I wanted to go. I think I was 17 years old.
Wow.
My family would not let me go cross country.
It would have been cheaper at that time to go then.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But Cheryl Lee and Maury Kelly and Chris Isaac and Ray Wise and James Marsh and Catherine Colson,
Wow.
Dana Ashbrook, David Lynch were all scheduled to be there.
Did David Lynch go to that?
He did. He actually.
So he did.
He introduced. Well, yeah, he introduced the Fire Walk with Me. So they're showing Fire Walk with Me. So a lot of people don't consider that the first festival. Like it wasn't a community festival. It wasn't like organized by the community.
But this started it.
It did start it. It was, and I think they did similar things to what they've done today. I think there was games, and there was, of course, Q&A, and there was all sorts of stuff. So even though a lot of people, I still consider this the first festival. So I'm going to, 25 years later, I'm going to the festival. But I can't believe, it's funny just how life works out. That, like, you know, you think, oh yeah, I'll go, and then
We're going. They finally finished their list of people who are going to be at this year's festival. Is probably the biggest list that they've ever had.
Yeah, there's 14 celebrity guests. I was looking at previous years. I don't think they've ever had this many people in one year. Anyone that you're really looking forward to seeing?
Personally, I want to meet the woman who plays Nadine.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I think it's so cool. And also, we've actually had someone on our show like just last week who they just announced.
Yeah, Lisa there.
Yeah, Lisa.
That's awesome.
For me, the people we've had on the show, we haven't met in person. I'd love to meet them in person. And then to see Lucy and Charlotte and even James. And I think Sherilyn Fenn is going to be awesome. We've had her on the show. We'd love to meet her in person. And then Krista Bell.
Crystal, she's cool.
Yeah, I think
Tammy there.
Tammy
right?
would be really cool.
Al Strobe, the one-armed man. I like to see him.
Yeah, that's really
and you
cool.
know, of course, Sherilyn Fenn is the number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like there could be surprises.
Yeah, don't get my hopes up. I feel like
last year there was.
Yeah, last year there was. There are some people that are doing projects, but they're in the area, and we'll talk probably about it a little bit later. But Comic-Con, they're gonna
this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're going to be in the area. So if
that's what I'm
they're in the
saying.
area, could they stay another week and just go to
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all going to be at Hall H this Friday, but we'll be talking about that a little bit later on with the guest. We should hop into part 10.
Part 10. So, Twin Peaks: The Return, Part 10, originally aired July 16th, 2017. The title is Laura is the One.
And I was really hoping for this Laura based
epic.
episode.
It was like an epic, like, there can only be one. And it was all Laura.
I wanted Neo to fight a bunch of
Yes,
Lauras
right,
like the
yeah.
Matrix. Didn't happen.
She'd take them all out, do backflips.
Yes. And we got the line said near the end of the episode.
Right. And this show started with the Log Lady intro from the pilot. So, David Lynch did the whole Bravo Log Lady intro. The first one was talking about Laura was the one, that there was many, but it all kind of led to Laura.
And it's interesting, the way I look at this the way the series has gone so far, when are we going to get to that? We got to be getting there soon. This is getting like...
We're down to eight parts left? Yeah.
We're down to 8 parts left, 7 more nights. And the thing is, it's like we got to get towards this Laura thing. And it's kind of aggravating. A part of me's aggravated because I'm like, we're getting close, but it doesn't seem like soon enough.
Yeah.
But I have like a battle in my mind.
Right.
So one side of my mind says, man, maybe 18 episodes was too much. Then I have the other side of my mind that says, maybe that's not enough. Because the way it's so moving, the way this is moving, I don't want it to feel like we have a rushed ending. So I want David Lynch, I'm sure he's taking his time and he's going to do it right. But I don't want to take his time up to the last 2 parts and then just rush through it.
Right.
But at the same time,
what's funny
it's
is
like a
that-
battle.
Yeah. It's so funny. I don't have a problem with Laura, but my problem is the whole Cooper Dougie thing. Like, I get each week that goes by, I'm kind of like, oh, this could, we've gone through so many weeks now where it could have been FBI agent Dale Cooper. So I struggle with that. I still enjoy it. I'm still embracing it all.
Yeah,
It's
no
still
doubt. Enjoy it too.
Very entertaining. Yeah. In a movie, it would be a 2-hour or 3-hour. We would have no complaints. We'd be like, of course.
Yeah.
When I go see Captain America or something like that, that's a typical movie. And there's a beginning, middle, and ending. And but it's funny that we talk about Laura, that like, oh no, we need to have 5 parts.
Yeah. This episode, I will just say, wasn't my favorite. Probably my least favorite out of all of them.
It's funny, a lot of the community is saying that. I actually really enjoyed this.
Really?
I think I'm the only one, I feel like, in the community, because like, a lot of people are like, it's not that good. But to me, it was like funny, and I thought I really enjoyed the humor of it. And it's funny, like, a lot of people think it's darker, but I saw a lot of humor in this episode.
I agree with the humor. No, I mean, overall, entertaining. I enjoyed it. But my least favorite in a sense that didn't do much for me. It had a lot of filler. Didn't have the killer that we've had the last couple weeks. This was a lot of filler. Some of these scenes, as we go through, I felt could have been deleted scenes. I felt like Lynch has got all this time.
Yeah.
Instead of cutting, he was like, well, we can keep it.
It's funny because for me, this was kind of like, oh, we finally get these scenes. Like, we finally get a scene with these characters I knew of, and I didn't know if we'd get more of. So for me, I was really happy to get more of this filler. I don't even think to me, it wasn't even filler. It was more connecting the dots and say, okay, I see.
Not those scenes, though.
So we'll break this up like we do. We'll chunk it to make it easier to talk about.
Yeah.
We can start with Richard Horne. He visits Miriam
Sullivan
at her trailer.
Now,
that's a good point. Yeah, do you want to go there right away?
Yeah, well. So we saw her last. I mean, we'll set her up.
Ben. Richard Horne, he does the whole hit and run. Runs over the kid.
Yeah.
And Miriam, she's the one that loves pies and had to go to the
talker.
double R. She's a talker. Some people thought she was a waitress. She's not a waitress. She
works at a school or something.
Yeah, like a
volunteers.
kindergarten or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And so she left the double R and she saw Richard Horne drive off.
Yeah.
And so she knew that he was the one that ran over the kid.
They made eye contact.
Yes.
Like he saw her, she saw him.
Yep.
And he was just like she like knew something was up. So she must have got wind that a kid was hit and that was him.
I think she was close enough that she might have seen the whole thing. I know that it's hard to tell, but I think she might have seen the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe, definitely. So
I wish I was better at geographic, but I feel like the double R isn't that far away from the intersection.
she could have heard a scream
Right.
or whatever.
But it's funny. I always believe Twin Peaks is a small town. It's not 51,000. I feel it's much. I think it's 5,000.
Yeah.
And this is another way that she knows Richard Horne. They've known each other. They know who he is. He comes to her trailer and he basically wants the information to know, hey, did you tell anybody what happened? She knew who he was.
Yes.
She knows Richard Horne. He also is probably a troublemaker in town, and he's like
I think he's well known
Yeah.
as a troublemaker. I'm sure he's stolen. He's done a lot of bad things.
So
what did she said?
she said two things.
Yeah. What was the first thing?
Her first thing, she said she did call the police. So she did reach out to the police. And this is really interesting. And I think we really get into this more. And she also wrote a letter to Sheriff Truman.
Now, if she called the police and told the police this is what happened, I know who did it. And I sent them a letter to say, if something bad happens to me, it's him. I kind of feel like this part for me was a little odd because if I was her, I would not have told him that information.
What?
Why would you tell someone who might attack you, I left a letter? That should be secret because
so many people do this where they're afraid they're gonna get killed or hurt, and they do it in a sense that like, hey, don't mess with me. I've called the police. They're on their way, and the person hopefully will back off. So I think it's her way of like her defense against him.
Yeah.
It's too late for you to hurt me. I've already called the police.
I guess. See, for me, I think the other way. I would think, hey, if this guy does something to me, at least I have something out there.
Right.
But he still did.
Yes.
Yeah. It didn't even matter.
Here's the main thing is that it seems to me that the majority of the police force is crooked. Like the majority, I think.
Yes.
I mean, so it seems
Chad
that Richard
and gang.
Right. Richard's thinking about this and it's like, oh, good, my people, they took care of it. They got the call and they ignored it. And I still wonder how Andy fits into this whole thing because you saw Andy a few parts ago that he was looking for the truck, but he was just by himself doing it. So you do wonder if it was like Chad got the call and said, and a lot of people are doing it's like, Andy, I'll let you work on this case because he thinks he's an idiot. So like, Andy won't get anywhere on this case. I'll give it to him. But it's like, it seems to me that Richard has got a lot of the force behind him.
Yeah, like he knows, but he has Chad. That's it. He has like Chad behind him.
Maybe. I do wonder about this whole drug thing that like, so Chad is involved with Red and I'm sorry. Yeah, Richard is involved with Chad, and of course Richard involved with Red, who's bringing in the drugs. And there's definitely that whole thing where somehow they're going back and forth between, the Canadian line.
Exactly, and they know where Bobby's cameras are, so they can avoid that at all costs.
Right.
So they have an in. But I feel like Chad is just a dickish, bumbling fool, and he proves that to us yet again that Chad.
Kills her.
Richard.
Richard
kills her, but she's still breathing. I'm assuming that place is gonna blow up because he lit a candle. He opened the oven.
Yeah.
She was breathing, but she had a pool of blood.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad. I'm like, I wish he didn't say that. Like, I'm yelling in my head, don't tell him. Keep that a secret. But I get what you're saying. I wasn't thinking that way, and I totally get it. Because it could have been a bluff.
It didn't matter either way.
Yeah.
If she said she didn't know, she didn't tell anybody, and she's like, I won't tell anybody. You don't worry about it. He still would have killed her, or he would have harmed her. I don't think.
Yeah. He's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy.
And now his new name from now on has got to be Dick, because Dick is short for Richard. So
Dick
we can
Horne.
just Dick Horne.
Don't we already have one Dick in Twin Peaks?
And now we have two.
Richard contacts Chad and wants to make sure that the letter that was sent to Truman is taken care of.
Yeah.
And we get to see Chad in the sheriff's station. And I love that we finally get to see some donuts. I mean, there's a little bit Twin Peaks, the old Twin Peaks, we get some donuts. And Chad just hanging out waiting for the mailman. And Lucy's like, what are you doing here? It's like, I'm enjoying the nice day. And they have a whole conversation about
a beautiful
nice
day. Yeah. Don't you guys wake up every day and say, what a beautiful day?
I basically do. They do. Yeah. So Chad goes and gets some mail, and he goes through and takes...
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this. Yes.
The internet I didn't notice this. The internet did. So
I know Welcome to Twin Peaks, they had somebody in their message boards that brought this up.
he took the wrong letter.
He might have taken the wrong letter. So that Miriam, but it's a different last name.
Different
it's
last
not
name.
Sullivan.
Yeah.
So he probably saw it real quick and saw the first name. That seems to be the theory, which is great. I mean, then you're going to see the payoff is that Truman will get the right letter.
I am thinking, this is how I see it. David Lynch is broad and he does things his way. But I really feel like Mark Frost, he knows the community. He's more in tune, I'm sure, with a lot of us who talk about and listen and all this stuff about his books and the show. And I kind of feel like details, if this comes true, it's a small detail that not a lot of people would notice. But I feel like a lot of these instances in the show, they put together for the community to grab online.
Oh, yeah.
The Zone. I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Frost is well known for doing that. I think he enjoys that people should work for the show.
Yeah, I agree. It's great.
They do that. And even like the fact that like when you think about the first parts where you didn't really get information until you got into the credits. Like, oh, Richard's last name is Horne, so he must be related to the Horns and stuff.
Yeah,
These are things that the only way you could put it together was by...
And something like this, if this is true, I mean, so cool.
It is.
It's cool. I hope he took the wrong letter. That's what I'm hoping. It's a
Right.
Christmas card with like or something in there stupid. Now the mailman was like oddly looking at him like
Probably like, Chad, you never come and get the mail.
yeah, like he seemed like, what are you doing?
Like, why are you going through the mail?
Yeah, and Lucy was just odd. Like they knew something was fishy and up.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we'll just skip to Sylvia Horne. And Johnny is all right.
Yeah.
I know he was running and banged into the man.
She tied him up good. You think she would have some sort of like home help? You know,
she does. I mean, she does have some help. Maybe she fired the help because she was mad at the help last week for letting him go.
Yeah. Well, it's not like he escaped.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's all tied up, and Johnny's quite big now. He's a big guy.
He is a big guy.
Now, I think if he was untied, like, okay, so Richard gets, if during the assault, I feel like Johnny could have took Richard. I feel like Johnny could have knocked him down. The guy looked like a football player.
Yeah.
And here's another weird thing. So Richard shows up, and is it Linda, right? Who's the grandma? What's the grandma's name?
Sylvia.
Why is it Linda? Sylvia. She opens the door and she starts yelling at him to go away, and then he just walks in, and I'm like, no, you lock doors, lock windows, you call 911.
Well, it is her grandson. She's so...
Yeah, but she was like, don't you dare. And she just has the door open. I'm like, no, why are you doing this?
She's a tough lady. I mean, she wasn't in a lot of the original series, but I thought she was always a tough lady and she could defend herself, and she would give Ben Horne a piece of her mind.
She gave Ben Horne a piece of her mind after. But the poor woman, this was a hard scene to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. It was rough. I'm like, is he gonna kill her in front of her? And poor Johnny's like, it was kind of heartbreaking because you see Johnny, who would probably come to defend his mom, and watching his mom being assaulted by this punk, and like, so it's like, does he just need this money to get out of town, to get more drugs? What's his end goal?
I think he's running away. I mean, he basically is saying that he's leaving, and you want me to leave, I'm going to leave. So I think that he realizes he can't stay. Sooner or later, it's going to catch up with him.
Now, how is this going to give us Audrey? How do you think I think Audrey's coming soon.
Yeah, because so now we learn that he is the grandchild of Sylvia and Ben Horne.
And
so as far as I know, they've only have two children, Johnny and Audrey, and
Donna. Well,
that's true.
That's Ben's daughter, but it wasn't official. So I'm sure Donna stayed with the Haywards.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So he looks very strikingly like Audrey.
Right, and I think the way he smokes, and there's definitely different mannerisms where we kind of could see Audrey.
Now, here's a question I want to ask you, Ben. I thought about this today. Does this because this is a different beast, it's Twin Peaks, but does this act of cruelty by this guy who could be Audrey's spawn, her son. Does this like taint? Does this make you kind of angry about like Audrey? You loved her and she was a great character, and then all of a sudden we're dealing with her supposedly son, and he's acting out like this way. Are you kind of like, oh, this is aggravating? You want Audrey to come in and just slap him and be like, get your act together?
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of like
Yeah, I definitely want somebody to slap him and get. Yeah, I definitely want him to be like, grow up, and yeah, I'm concerned that Audrey something's wrong with Audrey or something, or she's not in Twin Peaks, or she's gone.
She's in the coma still.
Yeah, I didn't think she'd be there for 25 years, though. I can't imagine
the rumor. I mean, a lot of people are speculating this, and I kind of believe it, that this is Audrey's and Mr. C's kid. Because he's evil. Mm-hmm. He's pure evil.
Right.
And if Audrey always wanted to be with Mr. C, with Cooper, and now that Mr. C, he's like, well, I'll be with you. Like, he's evil.
It goes back to the want and need, where we hear Mr. C say, I don't need anything, I want stuff. And then we go back to the Audrey naked in Cooper's bed, and Cooper basically says it's not about want and need. And he's basically saying, he's the opposite. He's saying, what I need to do is the right thing. You're a child. I can't take advantage of you. So you have good Cooper doing the right thing, and then you have Mr. C who says, "I just want to do it, and I'm going to do it."
And that could be a clue. And I think you said that before, and I think you're absolutely right. I do feel that this kid is a spawn of those two, but it's heartbreaking. Like, I don't even want to think about that.
Right.
Until we see it, I kind of have hopes it's not. But
right.
I kind of feel like that's where we're going.
It takes away Audrey.
It does. You know what it's like? It's like, I love The Force Awakens, but seeing Han Solo, spoilers if you haven't seen Force Awakens.
What? Okay.
Have you seen that movie, I cried. And you know what I'm saying? It changes things.
Sure.
You can always go back to the old ones, no doubt, but it still changes things.
But I think all great work has to, if they're going into the future, they have to be risk takers. They have to do things that aren't expected.
I agree. Yeah. But it just put a kind of change. It just makes you feel differently, I guess.
Totally. So yeah, Johnny steals the stuff, takes off, calls her all kinds of words. Really, really.
a lot of strong words, Ben. strong, horrible words.
And I have to say something here. Hello, Johnny. How are you today? I love it. It just kept on saying it over and over. Again, for me, that like
it was creepy.
It was creepy, but it was kind of funny to me. Like, I get it. In this horrific stuff, there's some humor that, like, the bear just keeps saying the thing over and over again, and while this is all happening.
It was sort of like when Maddie dies, and you hear the fan, and you just keep the record. You keep hearing the record.
There was nothing funny about that scene.
No, but you just hear this noise repeat. This is sort of the same thing. I want to talk about that bear. So it's like a bear with a bubble.
Like Teddy Ruxpin
with a bubble head, and it's drawn on. And it reminded me a lot of the Fluke monster from X-Files. It had those fish lips.
I can see that.
With the teeth.
Sure.
And I'm like, reminds me of the X-Files a little bit.
It looks like, I can't think of what if it's Dumbland or what it is, but it looks like some other work that Lynch has done.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. Yeah. I'm sure. There's a lot of love letters to his artwork this episode. But the big questions is, why did Sylvia open the door wide open if she didn't want to come in? I think she should have just locked up, called the police. But that's just me. And then that was it for that scene. I'm sorry.
So we move on to the trailer park. Carl Rod is playing guitar and singing, which I thought was a nice scene. I like.
Yeah, it's the year of Carl, man. Right. Like, it's really cool.
I think we all know that this is not the same location, that he's no longer, he's no longer where he used to live. He now lives in Twin Peaks, and you can see that by where his home and stuff.
It's Fat Trout 2.
Yes,
it's the new Fat
new
Trout.
And improved. So you have that, and then you hear this noise, this commotion, and there's a cup that goes through the window, and you find out it's Stephen and Becky in a dispute.
Oh, It was like Macaulay Culkin going. I thought he looked like Macaulay Culkin, and he's like he was going off on her.
Yeah, he raised his fist. I mean, we didn't see.
It was scary.
It was very scary, and it's like I think it was Shelley and Leo. All over.
But this is like even worse. I mean, we laugh at Firewalk with Me when you see Leo.
This is our house.
This is our house. This is how you wash the floor. I'm going to show you. And he's on his all fours. He's rubbing the floor. And you're going to do it.
At the same time, I didn't laugh when he put I put a soap in the sock and tried to beat up
No,
Shelley.
that wasn't funny.
Right.
But it was like, back then, these acts of violence was kind of comical because they couldn't show much. So they left a lot up to our imagination. But sometimes the things that Leo had said was ridiculous. And if you're a housewife and your husband said that to you now, you'd probably laugh at him, be like, get a life, loser. Yeah. But this was yet another jarring moment. It was like jarring moment takes you in a lull, jarring moment. It was like you kind of getting punched in the gut constantly this episode with these moments.
It's funny. I just appreciate all these like tender moments. So you have Carl playing the guitar and singing, and I think that's wonderful. And yeah, I know a lot of people see all the violence, and there is so much more. But at some reason, I enjoyed all these
because you're positive.
I'm positive. I'm just an outgoing, positive guy.
I kind of wanted him to sing a whole song. I was gonna.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
And so now we are getting into the Mitchum brothers,
which we haven't seen since like part 2.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? Well, I mean,
the first one we met the guy from the casino during the casino stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it was part 2, if it was part 3, but it was early on,
very early on.
So the Mitchum brothers, Rodney Mitchum is reviewing surveillance log, which I thought was interesting, and Candy is
yeah.
She is trying to smack a fly.
And I did not like this scene at all.
I know, we texted each other. You didn't like this. I really enjoy Candy. I think she's funny. I love the way the movement of her hand and the way she's in some ways she's subtle and other times she's just off the wall. And I think she's funny.
It was fun. It was a fun scene. It was predictable. I'm like, is she going to hit him in the head with a newspaper? It was a remote control. I think we all saw it coming. But I think I had I envisioned these characters differently.
Yes.
And it didn't meet expectation. And I didn't like it. I kind of felt this was, for me, was the first fluff of the episode.
Okay.
That whole scene to me felt like it could have been on the editing room floor. We could have saw it on the DVD, and it would have been. It stands alone by itself. But I don't know if it had to be in this episode. It was, so it is what it is. I enjoyed it, but I felt fluffy, and I wanted the 3 girls to be like badasses. So when we first saw them, they're leaning against the wall, and they don't care about anything. And I kind of feel they don't. Now we know they really don't.
They're really out to lunch.
They're really out. But I kind of felt like they were like goons for them, like female goons. Like they could be seductive, they could be badasses, they can take care of business if they needed to.
And I
like that mystery.
All we know is about Candy.
Yeah,
really.
But now we know that Candy's just like out on Planet 9 doing whatever. We don't even know what's going on in her head.
Yes.
And
I enjoyed that though.
Yeah.
So she did take the remote and she smacked Rodney in the head. I thought it was comical in a way because Rodney comes off as like a thug, a gangster kind of character, and I feel like he's a really tough guy. And you have this blonde, kind of out there girl who kind of beat him up, and I think that's kind of funny in a way. I don't know. It was fun. So that happened, and she was so upset, and she was crying, and like, I can't believe I hit you.
I know, I didn't get it. It was like you hit him. You had a remote to his face. But yeah, I mean, it was still, like I said, it was entertaining. Yes. It was entertaining.
So
it was.
Later on, they're still hanging out, and there's a news, and the news of Dougie Cooper about where Ike tried to kill him. And
they know Ike. They're like, Ike got busted.
And they were happy about it. It's like, too bad. Yeah. They finally got him. But the interesting was, I thought this news coverage maybe Gordon Cole, or maybe I thought maybe it would go further and we would finally find out that Cooper was here. But it really was set up for the Mitchum brothers.
Yeah.
And what they really got out of that was that it was
Dougie Jones.
Dougie Jones, Mr. Jackpot.
Mr. Jackpots, and they're putting the things together now. they're kind of. I mean, I don't know if we want to go into the next scene with the insurance salesman.
Yes, I want to keep going there.
Okay.
So they go from that's our Mr. Jackpot.
So this part, I'm opposite. The fly part, I don't think I needed. This part, for some reason, cracked me up, and I really liked it.
Before you get there, I don't know if you're going to Duncan Todd. So Duncan Todd is the other character who he has envelopes. He gives them to Ike. You know, he's the character that gets this.
Yeah.
And we learned, I think, last week that Mr. C called him and like, you need to finish the job, or basically you're gonna get it
done.
I think this is the first time we realized that Duncan knows Anthony Sinclair. And Anthony Sinclair is that shady co-worker of Dougie's.
Yeah.
And so, we're now connecting the dots that they kind of know each other. And clearly, Anthony Sinclair has done shady insurance work with Duncan Todd.
Yeah, and the brothers and whoever.
Right.
You know?
So so how Duncan's going to try and basically get rid of Dougie is he's going to use Anthony to reach out to the brothers and basically put all this on Dougie, and then they will go out and kill the brothers will go try to kill Dougie.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So now you can get into the casino.
Yeah, so they're like, we want you to Mr. Todd tells him this, so he goes to the casino. The brothers are upstairs. Now this yet again is another moment I'm yelling in my head. Why didn't you just ask the floor manager to bring him up?
No,
the floor manager was right there.
Rodney asked Candy, "Can you go get the?"
He said, "Candy,
Anthony,
Candy." She's not responding.
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
No. I thought that was sort of funny.
Yes.
When she goes out there, right? Or she's out there, and they're watching. I love the reaction of them watching her.
Right,
she
she's
kept
telling
talking.
us, she's like, we don't have any audio, so all we see is her moving her hands and like, what is she
Dude,
saying?
I was dying when they were like, we told you just get him. Now you could be out there for 4 hours.
Right.
I was dying because I know people like that. You know, you're like,
aren't you like?
yeah. You're like, you know, people are like, hey, let's go. 2 hours later, you're like.
Right. Like, what the heck could they be talking about? All you had to do is go bring him in here. And stuff. I think I said to you, it could have even been longer for me. I thought it was so funny. But I'd say I rewatched it, and it probably was the perfect length.
It was
really
perfect.
But he's like, you're watching, like, she's now looking over this direction. She's doing this, like, what the heck? And then for her to finally, I think they had to call her in again. They had to
the floor manager.
Floor manager's like, bring him in.
And I'm like, why didn't they just ask him to begin with?
Yeah.
Why did they even send Candy out there?
Well, I think it's about professionalism, I guess.
I guess.
In some ways, it looks better to have a girl on a guy's arm and going.
Yeah, it doesn't look suspicious like something's going on. And then, you know, one of them says, I know, but if we fire her, where would she go?
Yeah.
So I can't believe
they have a heart somehow.
They're taking, it's like gangsters with a heart all of a sudden. Well, we're going to kill people, but we can't let Candy go because she's a little dumb. You know? I
don't know why. As I started watching that scene, for some reason I started thinking of like One-Eye Jacks. Maybe because One-Eye Jacks is a casino too, and a gambling. But they also had like the ladies there.
Parallels.
Yeah.
Ben. I mean, we're kind of having the same sort of setup that the One-Eye Jacks. You have the girls, the same thing.
Right.
But I thought this scene was funny, and I really liked it. I laughed out loud, and I rewatched it, and I loved it.
And then for the guy to finally come in, and it's like, what did you talk about?
Yes.
And like the guy just like, you know, Candy did the talking, and then she explained it's like, oh, it was about the weather, and I'm so glad we have air conditioning. It's like, what? Why would you bring that up?
I know.
Can you imagine? Like she just comes up to some random person. It's like, you know, it's hot today.
I'm so glad we have air conditioning.
Yeah.
And that was very humorous. So, you know, I didn't think it was a fluff piece. I really like that. But I don't know. Yeah. Those girls, I like the shot with them just leaning against the wall, and I just wish I had more mystery behind them. But I feel like there is on the other two. Candy, there's a mystery about what's going on with her. My other thought was, what if they're on the sparkle drug?
I thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're sedating them.
Maybe Candy is on candy.
Maybe. Candy's on candy.
So, you know, it's a drug, sparkle candy. So I don't know. So Anthony basically says to them, it's all Dougie's fault. He was in the rejected your insurance policy, and he has it out to get you guys. And just pin it all on.
I love how he says it. He's very villainish.
Yes.
He's like,
the funny thing, he's backing up and he has to keep on adding. Just like, really? He really hates you. And then like...
I pictured that Simpsons episode when Homer backs into the bush. That was him. He's just like, no, it's really him, man. He just backs up slowly. He dissolves into the door and disappears.
Yeah.
It was really, it was very cliche villain. He needed a mustache that he could like stroke as he said these things. Yeah, but it was very funny. I like that scene a lot. It was
Sadly,
cool.
the only thing I can think about, like, I keep saying I do enjoy the Twin Peaks and everything that's going, and I still feel like I wish we had our old Cooper back. But when I see these scenes, like, oh, the Dougie storyline's not going to end. Like, we're finally getting past. We're getting past Jade. We're getting past his work storyline just seems to be ending. His storyline is ending. Like, so you keep thinking, and it's like, oh, now we've got a whole new story with the brothers. I mean, it's not a new story, but it's a whole new thing to happen.
But you said this last week, and we have to remember, this is Cooper. This is not Dougie.
You're absolutely right.
So we have to, if we can trick our brains to say, this is not the Dougie we remember. I mean, oh my God. This is not the Cooper we remember. This is the new Cooper. It's Cooper.
Yeah, but the funniest thing is Lynch was not happy with Cooper in plaid or like.
So you put him in a green suit.
I know. But I mean, like back in the day, he didn't like the way that Cooper was being portrayed.
Interesting.
And now we're. I know that we're gonna get there. I just want to get there faster. I want
agree.
FBI agent Cooper to get on the case and figure out what happened to Laura, what's going on, how can he.
That's where my head goes. What I was saying before, I constantly have this battle. Do we have enough time to tell the story, or
yes? You're about Laura. I'm not concerned. I feel like Laura.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel comfortable. Laura's story will be told.
Yeah.
It's some reason for me. It's Cooper.
It is Cooper's Odyssey and Major Briggs. It's like both.
Yeah.
But I just feel, do we have enough time for everything?
Since we're talking about Cooper Dougie, he finally gets to the doctors, and Janie gets to check him out.
Yeah, this doctor's visit was not what I was expecting. It was kind of disappointing. I mean, they built this doctor's appointment up big time. Like, he's got to go to the doctors. We got to the doctors. Yeah, you lost some weight, Dougie. You're a pretty healthy guy.
Yeah.
We don't know what's wrong with your head, though.
I think that's like a typical doctor's appointment for me. I go there, it's like, yeah, you could lose some weight. It's like, thanks. That's your diagnosis.
And we got to see him shirtless.
And Kyle MacLachlan does look good.
He looks good.
Especially for his age. I mean, I could be that fit.
I know, man. He looked good. But then you got to see
Janie
leering at him. And I'm like, but they've been living together for the last couple of days like this. And you never noticed this?
He's been leaving his clothing on the whole time, I guess. I could see Dougie doing that. He like sleeps in his.
Probably.
But you're right though. She does change him and she dresses him. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, did you not realize this whole time that he lost
that
weight?
air pressure thing to make his muscles look bigger or something.
This is yet another moment where I'm yelling in my head, going, "Wait a minute, you live with him.
Yes,
you've seen him naked. I'm sure at some point. He doesn't even know how to dress himself."
I know. But this goes to when they get home, they have sex.
Well, before we get into this, though, it's interesting. Yes. He's eating chocolate cake.
Yeah, not pie.
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake.
Because it's leftover cake from the birthday.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Good point.
She is all getting hot and bothered, going, "Are you attracted to me?" It was weird.
I loved it, though. It was so funny.
It was adorable.
It was funny because he would just look at her and then he'd go back to eating cake.
Yes.
And so he doesn't even respond. Usually you have Cooper Dougie basically say, attractive. Or he would say something. He would basically mimic what she said. But he didn't even do that. So to me, that was like, I am not attracted to you. I'm only attracted to Audrey Horne.
Wow. I like that theory.
Yeah.
No, you know what I was thinking about? This kind of indulges their relationship, because I'm almost thinking maybe after this car accident he hasn't been the same, and maybe they haven't had.
But this is not the same person. Oh, but you're saying that relationship.
She doesn't know that.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm thinking their relationship had waned. I'm thinking.
Oh, definitely, I agree.
She was so preoccupied with the kid.
He's with a hooker and stuff. He's definitely there's a problem with the relationship.
And he was overweight. She probably lost interest in him. He's seeing hookers. She's like, I'm just going to focus on the house and the kids.
And I think sometimes in families, it's very hard to keep it going where you're just kind of like day to day trying to take care of the kids and trying to go to work and just to pay the bills.
And she's so wound up.
Yes.
So wound up. And this was a release for her, I
know
think.
you're going to go there.
And it was so funny.
Yes.
This is the funniest part. I love the arms just flapping.
Yes.
And she just kept saying,
grin.
Dougie, the grin.
Yeah.
When he had the big smile at the very end, I thought about that moment when he had the big smile eating cherry pie.
There you go.
And I was like, there's our old Cooper. We saw him. He's right there.
So I need to make a list here. It seems like he's seen the American flag.
I ran out of Wizard of Oz references, Ben.
I know, right?
I don't think that ever happened, Wizard of Oz.
You don't think so?
Dorothy never had sex with anybody, so.
All right, enough of the Wizard of Oz.
But I like it, though. I think it all works.
Oh, yeah.
But now.
But I mean, like, in some interview, Lynch was talking about that it was Cooper kind of learning things again and kind of seeing what he likes and he doesn't like. And so it's like a child growing up. So it's this journey of Cooper realizing, yeah, I like sex.
Now, here's the big question, though, before we move on. Do you think when Cooper comes out of it and realize if this happens, I don't know. If he gets out of it, he realizes who he is, does he stay with her?
I don't think so. No way.
Yeah, I think so.
You think he's going to stay with her?
She saved his life.
No way.
Yes. She saved his life.
Cooper's life, I mean, as much as I love Audrey, in all honesty, Cooper's life is to the Bureau, to FBI, to the country.
Well, I know that, but he deserves to be with someone. He was falling in love with Annie.
Yeah.
He can't just be this guy who just not fall in love and have a family.
I think he is.
I think
he really is.
Yeah, but I think he's such a Boy Scout that if he were to come to and he realizes this woman has been helping him, I think he might just be like, yeah.
Aren't you the same person that said that she's like a spy or she's somebody that is like not a real person, that she was manufactured just for...
Okay. If this world doesn't exist, but if
see.
this world exists, which it seems to be so, I don't know about my theory anymore. But
when we talked to Andreas, I think I said, I feel like this is the road less traveled, or this is the road, like there was two ways you could go in life. You could go and be devoted to your work and FBI, or you could have a family and have a life and be like, the
average Joe
9-to-5 job. And so I feel like we're getting this moment of what could have been his life. But I feel like I even think I'm going John Thorne's direction, where he's going to become an agent of the White Lodge. So not only is he no longer going to be just devoted to the FBI, his whole life is now going to become towards maybe the White Lodge, an agent for the White Lodge or something. So
maybe if we
I know
even
it's kind of sad because you're like, oh, he's got a family, and why could he leave?
I don't think
a
he
beautiful
could.
wife and a nice child and all that. But I think
She's gonna be heartbroken though.
But I think she set it up for how she has all this money and she doesn't want to spend the money that he won, and that's going to be
Well, she used a part of it to pay off those guys.
Very small amount. Well, I forgot how much it was. It was
very
fraction.
small.
It was very small amount, and she was saying how she didn't want to spend the money on a car or anything. She basically said it's going to be a nest egg for
You're right.
for her son.
Right.
And
That
her.
could
And
be.
to me, that was her way of saying, "Hey, we're going to be okay once you leave. We're gonna have."
That's
money,
a good
we'll be taken
point.
care
I
of."
didn't think about that, but personally, I don't know. At this point, just because everything's going so well with them, and I feel like they're helping each other.
Yeah.
So
they're good.
I don't know.
I don't see him sticking around. I don't.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Typical men.
Yeah,
Just
he was
leaving.
never really married to her.
He is. He's married.
Maybe somehow Dougie will come back.
In the
real
eyes of the
Dougie will
church,
come
they're
back.
married.
Maybe the real Dougie will come back and he'll realize he did wrong.
No, he's a ball.
I know he's a baller. Yeah, right.
Gone.
All right, so we have Lawrence Jacoby and his video cast, and Nadine Hurley is watching it.
Yeah, this is another thing I was kind of disappointed with. I would love to see who Nadine ends up, if Nadine's still with Big Ed. This is a mystery
find
that
out.
I really want to see. We know Big Ed's in it, and this is what I want. I want to see Nadine sipping on that big Slurpee, or whatever she's drinking, watching it, and all of a sudden the camera pans out and Big Ed puts his hand on her shoulder. What are you watching, Nadine? You watching that crazy guy again? That's what I want. So I was kind of wanting more, but we got to see Jacoby.
I didn't even think we'd see him again. I figured his arc was over.
Well,
but
now we got like Nadine has a drape runner store and
Yes!
she's selling his shovels in there.
we
saw his shovel.
Run Silent Run Drapes store.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's selling it or if she's just proud of that shovel and displaying it.
It helped her maybe
lift herself up
and
out of the shit.
Out of the shit. She dug herself out of the shit.
Maybe it really did. What if she listening to them? She bought that shovel and she said, "You know what? All my life I've wanted. I mean, for 25 years I've wanted to do drapes, silent drapes. I'm gonna make my own store and I'm gonna do it." And like maybe.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He empowered her.
Empowered her, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I just want to mention about how Jacoby, he mentions about the monsters of society, that they should eat the chemical tasting treats they give us and that they should die and bloat like red fucking balloon.
It's like those chips that Dougie's eating all the time. Mr. C, he's eating all those cheese doodles.
Yes, but my where I'm going to go with this is he mentions a red fucking balloon.
The red balloon.
We saw red balloons early on. We saw it with the neighbors. They had balloons. And then there was work. There were red balloons. And I don't know if there's...
And the red dot above the Twin Peak on the message.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Which some people say that reminds them of the red balloon.
I never thought about that.
And it's a red circle.
Right. I thought maybe it was a sun or a moon or some kind of
but it's
symbol
red.
and stuff. But yeah. But I was just thinking about the balloons early on. But that's a great point, too.
Yeah, I mean, we... reoccurring, yet again, we've had numbers, reoccurring themes, and now a balloon. Red balloon. What does the red balloon stand for?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Jerry is still in the woods without a signal. And he says, "You can't fool me. I've been here before."
Yeah, it makes me feel like this Sparkle, or if he's on drugs, if he's on a Sparkles type thing, I wonder if he sees something. Like he sees the other plane.
It's very cryptic. I mean, I don't know if I should read more into it or if he's just been in these woods before and he should be able to find his way out.
I mean, who was talking to his foot? Was his foot really talking to him in a high-pitched voice?
That's not his foot.
That wasn't his foot.
When we have a whole Gordon, Cole, and Tammy watching Albert and Constantine? Not Constantine.
Oh, yes. Albert and Constance. They were at dinner. We get to see them at dinner. And I kind of felt this was a sweet moment, but for me, was the third fluff moment. I kind of felt the scene we didn't need it.
Yeah, it was,
but it's sweet.
To me, it was a little bit of character development. I mean, Albert's always been very harsh. I mean, we got the moment where he says that he loves Harry Truman, but for the most part, he's pretty harsh and he seems to resent people. A lot of times, he'd be like, I'm surprised he didn't say this to her, like, "Oh, you do crappy work," but he seemed to admire her. But so often,
the marbles. The marbles brought them together.
Maybe. But it was a sweet thing, and it was great to see Cole and Tammy together and laughing and smiling and just saying, "Oh, isn't it so sweet that Albert can be happy?"
Yeah, it was a sweet moment. But like this for me was my third. I'm like, it could have been on the deleted scenes.
And it hasn't
reel.
I can't remember. I feel like was it your theory that we might lose Albert, that he might get killed off?
I got that impression when him and Cole were talking about everything. And I almost feel like Albert, I think Albert has more to do with this than we believe. Mm-hmm. I mean, we also thought that could have been Albert's voice, not Jeffrey's voice.
Oh, yes. When it went way back in, I think it was part 2, where it was, Agent Jeffries was talking with Mr. C, and then we learned it probably wasn't Agent Jeffries. You're right. It could be.
Yeah.
But God forbid we lose Albert. If we do, at least we have this moment where he's happy. Like I don't think we've ever seen this happy in all of Twin Peaks and Fire Walk with Me. We've never seen him so happy.
True.
So for me, it was a great moment just for that. But I understand there's scenes you don't need, but it just adds to the show.
It's not the needs, it's the wants.
Or even sometimes you don't realize you want it until you see it.
Exactly. I agree. It goes both ways.
What else do you got, Bryon?
So going with the whole Tammy and Cole. So, this takes place at night. Obviously, they're in their hotel. They're having dinner. Cole's in his room. And Albert, someone rings the doorbell. He answers it. And what do we see? We see an apparition. We see We see old footage from Fire Walk with Me of Laura.
Yeah, so that Fire Walk with Me footage is when she says, she's crying. She goes to Donna's place and is like, "Are you my best friend?" And like, I think this is after she knows that it's her father, but she's broken, so broken. But I don't know if we should associate anything with that scene of more of like, is Gordon Cole haunted by this Laura Palmer case? Like, I know he didn't do all the work that Cooper did, but I still think it's part of this Blue Rose case. And maybe he's haunted by the fact that they haven't been able to truly solve it. Truly in the sense of, like, there's something more at work, whether it be spirits and stuff like that. So
his intuition's kicking in.
What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with your line of thinking. But part of me was like, well, I don't believe you ever saw Laura. He never saw Laura when she was alive.
No, but he had files on it, and maybe he was moved that I believe a 17-year-old girl was murdered brutally.
Yeah, you know what I'm also thinking? That there's something reminding him of things, and he knows that Cooper disappeared after the Laura case. Mm-hmm. And maybe Laura, we know, got sucked out of the lodge. Something's saying something to him. I think when you have, maybe he's having deja vu, or, when you think it's deja vu, you remember something, you don't remember how or what, but it happened to you, but maybe he's having that moment. I don't know. It's like he's seeing something. Something's calling to him. Something's giving him clues.
You're taking this as a vision then?
Yeah. He saw it, right? He was startled by it. He opened the door and you just saw Laura's face, right. And he was.
It took over the whole screen. It was in the doorway there. But it's interesting that like her scene took place in the doorway with Donna, and then this would happen in the doorway with Cole.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I mean,
that's what I made out of it, though. That he's connecting what's happening with that Laura Palmer case, and maybe he's frustrated or. Yeah, haunted by the fact that he never saw it. And it's funny, the irony is that, like, I feel like Lynch never wants to give up on Laura. Like,
nobody does.
He didn't want to solve he didn't ever want the real Laura Palmer case to be solved. It was solved. He then wanted to go back and tell her last week of her life. And so it seems like he always wants to go back. And it definitely, in the title sequence, we see Laura, so we know that she's always there. Laura is the one. So we know that she should be part of this.
Yeah, so he's seeing a vision that is pointing, that is saying, listen, Laura's the one. It's going to lead to her. You got to remember Laura Palmer case. That's how you'll figure out Mr. C. Right. You're going to figure out Cooper.
And before that scene, he's doodling. And what did you think of this doodle?
Well, we come to find out it was a drawing that Lynch had done. I think Joel Bacco might have posted this on Twitter.
Wait. This might be news to me. Are you saying Lynch has done this drawing before?
It's 2010. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I need more information about this.
Joel Bacco posted it on Twitter.
And no more information than
I sent you the photo of it. I said Joe Bacco.
Yeah. I saw that, but do we know what
I don't know the name of it. It came out 2010. That's all I remember.
Is it a reindeer? Is it a dog with antlers?
You know what I was thinking?
Yes.
I like that David Lynch is incorporating artwork and all these elements of his whole career in this. This is so amazing. I love it. It just nods to longtime fan like you and the people who are just getting into it the last couple of years like me. And it's like an Easter egg hunt. And I think, to me, if I looked at it and I said, that's a hand reaching out to this dog that looks like it's on fire or things. It's sort of like, could we be the hand trying to extend and put a grasp on David Lynch's mind on Twin Peaks? But it's just
on the obscure,
but we can't. And we get close, but we always get burned. Maybe we get burned by everything we think is usually wrong.
Yes.
And I kind of took it that way. But
interesting.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
And some reason, I don't know, the cufflink, or it made me think of the Giant for some reason.
Or Cooper.
It could be Cooper too, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it could be like, he's extending himself to touch something, but it's just out of reach. And it's fire. It looked like it's on fire to me. Fire Walk with Me.
It looked like antlers to me, but
it had like weird things coming out of its body.
It looked like to me like a branch or something.
That's true. That's true.
At first, I said, "Is this a walking log?"
I mean, it was until after the show and I saw the photos online that I got a real look at it. But it was cool. I like that. And, the teddy bear head was drawn by Lynch too, and
Yeah.
So
he's definitely bringing his. I mean, he always brings his work, but he definitely seems to be bringing a lot more work to this.
yeah, it's so cool.
So Tammy comes by.
Oh man, Tammy comes by, and she basically says, "Listen, I got some photos. A photo was taken at the first Cole, we have to finish. Cole comes in. He has been tracking Diane's phone. He has text messages.
Right.
He has a response that Diane sent to the unknown caller. And so they're kind of like, it's not her suitors. It's not boyfriend material. There's something going on here. So they're on to her. And I like how they know something's up. They're keeping her close because this could lead to somebody. Mr. C.
Maybe, or who knows, right.
Yeah. That was really cool. And also then Tammy comes in with the photos. Now the photos are of Mr. C when they were putting together the glass box, which is something we said last week. We think Mr. C's behind the glass box.
There's been a bunch of people in the community. I think you thought he could be the billionaire.
Yeah, I think he created the glass box.
Right. I wasn't sure. I think the only thing I did realize there was a link to was not Agent Jeffries basically said, hey, I missed you in New York back in part 2. So there was the New York connection that Mr. C definitely had been in New York or had missed going there, but it seemed like there was a connection there. So now it seems obvious with this photo that he is responsible for the glass box or he's involved with the glass box.
And he's there like a scientist.
Yes.
So he could have paid someone top dollar to say, listen, I want you to create something for me. It needs to do this. I will fund you.
The question is, why do you think Mr. C would want this glass box?
Well, Mother. The experiment.
Yep. The monster.
And maybe Cooper.
Yeah.
Maybe the real Cooper. Maybe to stop the real Cooper ever coming here, and also Mother. If he doesn't come back to the lodge at a certain time, Mother could be coming. And we know something came out of this box and killed 2 people.
Right.
So we know Mother or the creation or whatever we want to call it at this point is out and looking for him.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I mentioned this on the show, but we'll go back to part 8 and the whole atomic bomb. And, I get the sense that, like, this atomic bomb makes a rift, like, basically opens the gateway to the other world. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the monster can't get out. But if she projects what's inside of her, at least some of those things can get out into our world. So I feel like this might be the first time the monster is able to get loose in our world was because of the glass box.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah. So maybe, I like the idea that maybe Mr. C built this with this intention that, like,
to stop it.
No, I think
bring it in.
I think to bring it in. I think he wants to be part. It's all together. Maybe.
Wow, that's total chaos.
Yes.
He's like the Joker.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Mr. C's pretty evil. Now, a great moment. I think that this was well. Oh, I was going to talk about this moment.
No.
Oh, you want to talk about this?
I just briefly
moment.
mentioned that we already kind of talked about Sylvia Horne, but she then does reach out to Ben and basically says, Richard stole all my money.
I need more money.
And he's not going to give any more money, and he's frustrated. But it's clear that, she says, I'm going to get my lawyer, and I want to, get into this. It seems clear now that Ben Horne and Sylvia have separated, or they're divorced.
They're divorced. And he's supporting her just on alimony or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he asks about Beverly, I want to go out to dinner. Like, he's frustrated. Maybe he gives
you
up.
don't see Beverly. So you kind of like, is he talking to himself? Like, is he somebody who like, oh, I'm so sick of this. Maybe I do want to go out on a date. Or is she in the room? I mean, I guess she's his assistant.
Yeah.
So she probably is in the next room, and he probably is yelling out to her. But
yeah.
So now the big scene.
Yeah, the big scene. Like, this was a sweet scene, and it was I didn't expect it. I thought we were done, but we got to see the log lady.
Yay, I know, because, I mean, you never know how much you're going to get of her, and it was wonderful to have her back. And, Hawk is just, he's just listening to her, and I think that's beautiful. And I think about our interview we had with Michael Horse, how he was so grateful to just be a part of this.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I think we both talked about this off air, how I interpreted that like, he doesn't have many scenes. Like, Michael Horse is only in this a very small bit, but he's appreciative of it. But he seems to be in it a bunch. He's in almost every episode, some scene. And it was great for him just to... It's almost like Margaret just needed to get things off her chest. Like, she almost was going back into Log Lady intros. Like, she was kind of like... She's feeling like, hey, Truman are true men. And, like, she was just giving all her philosophy. And, like... She just needed somebody to hear her.
And he's taking it on.
So often, I think, maybe this character always, she used the log to always kind of say, hey, I need to be heard. I have things I want to say, and will you listen to me? And Hawk is willing to listen. Yeah.
I think Cooper, everybody seemed always respectful of her, other than when she's at the diner. Because she always put her gum on the table.
Right.
But, I mean, it's cool. Yeah, Hawk takes it all in, and it was really... I loved it. I didn't want it to end.
And she's the one that gives the line, Laura is the one.
Laura is the one. And so we had that beautiful scene, and then the episode was capped at... I was jaw-dropped, awestruck, eyes glued to the TV for the next 5 minutes during Rebecca... Del Rio during her performance.
Yeah, Rebecca Del Rio.
Yeah, during her performance, I loved it, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is like
Mulholland
Drive."
Right, she sang in that.
That was her.
She was crying.
I recognize her voice. You know what's weird? I'm new to everything in a way. Like, I don't connect the dots as quickly as you or John Thorne or everybody.
I think we all connect different dots.
As soon as she started singing in Spanish, I was like, and I got it. Yeah. And I was like, I know who she is. I didn't recognize her, but the voice. And I don't know what it was, but it was a feeling. And
beautiful.
It was so
beautiful.
Good.
The song is No Stars, and... John Neff, who we talked to not that long ago, had a part in creating this song. And I think that would be great if we could just take a second and talk with him about this. So, John, we spoke a few months ago with you, and you had mentioned that you had a song that was going to be part of the new series, and it came out this week in part 10. Can you talk about this?
Sure. The song is called No Stars, and it originally started life as a Blue Bob song that gave birth to this song. We had done a song in Mulholland Drive called Pretty 50s, which was a light and airy kind of whimsical set of chords that evoked the 50s. Right after that, I got an idea for a heavy 50s song. It was real dark. And so I wrote the chords to this thing and played it on the guitar orchestra, and David really liked it. And we didn't know what we were going to do with it, but we decided to develop it. David was inspired to write some words for it and thought that it might be ideal for Rebecca. Rebecca came over, and David gave her the words, and she started singing a melody immediately to it that we really liked. She took some of the English words and turned them into Spanish and incorporated it as a bilingual song. And then she wanted this whole dreamy ending. So I had to change the ending chorus to just go back and forth and be No Stars all the way out. And we recorded it the next day.
Wow.
It was really amazing.
That's something.
And I put the drums down, and then Dave and I both played electric guitar on it, and I played the guitar orchestra on it. Dave did the lyrics himself. I wrote the music, and Rebecca wrote the vocal melody and the Spanish lyrics.
It is like a beautiful song. I have to say that the end of the show, I was glued to the TV. Like, it was mesmerizing, beautiful, touching, and I was like, is this song about Laura? That's all I kept thinking about. Is this song an overall... I kept thinking about Laura, and I kept thinking about the overall story arc of her story, and that's what it really reminded me of. But it was beautiful. I mean, the three of you should just put an album out together.
Yeah,
just do it all.
That was our intent.
That's awesome.
That was our intent all those years ago, and this song is 15 years old.
Wow.
And can you share with us, how did David reach out to you about this song?
I got an email from the lawyer and said that we'd like to use the tune in the series, and that David owns the master recording, but you own 1/3 of the copyright, and therefore we need a contract, and blah, 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 blah. The money was minimal, but I'm just happy to see the song come to life.
It was one of my favorites of the season so far. I say that every week, but this one has blown everyone else out of the water. I really enjoyed it.
And I've been waiting for it. I know.
Excellent.
Yeah, because you said that you were gonna have the song, and every week it's like, oh, is this John's song? Is this John's song?
Yeah,
So
we were waiting for it.
Waiting for it. So that is really something. I loved it. It was really beautiful. It's available through her album that she had.
It's an album called Love Hurts, Love Heals, and it was released in November of 2011. And I mastered the album for her. It's a really nice record. We put No Stars on it, and I remastered No Stars for that album, so it sounds a little different than it does on the TV show, because the TV show is an unmastered version. So it's definitely worth looking into, because it's quite the experience.
Cool.
I guess that it's going to be on the new soundtrack album too, though.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, probably come out in September, I'm guessing.
Yeah, what they've been doing is putting the soundtrack, like every week they put a new song on there. So by the end of the season, you'll have the whole soundtrack. So
Yeah,
I've just been waiting. I've been getting songs, but once in a oh, I like that song, I'll get it. But yeah, it's weird how they're slowly doling it out to us.
John, I know the answer, but we see Moby with a guitar in the show. Moby didn't have anything to do with this, right?
He had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I think it was just David's love for Moby to have him in there some way.
Yeah, and I think there's a few
Yeah,
other...
it was just a TV band.
Yeah, that's what we thought. But it was cool to see Moby on there because, he was on the vinyl, that David Lynch Fest vinyl he did.
Oh, yeah, and he's done Go, which they did he had a remix with Twin
Yes.
Peaks. Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
so...
cool. When we talked to you last time, I didn't bring up, but I loved Rabbits from DavidLynch.com, the original Rabbits. I thought that was a great series, and you did just a wonderful job with adding the music and what you did with that series.
Thank you. I like Rabbits.
I like it a lot too. I need to find a way to get the Green Lime box set or something like that. It's hard to find now, but I really need that just to be able to watch.
Have it by
Rabbits.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that box set has gotten expensive.
Yeah, hundreds of dollars. It's like $100, $200, and I wish David would put it on Blu-ray or make it available again. It would be something.
Yeah.
And Rebecca had a small part. I think she was in like episode 3 of Rabbits.
Yeah, she was one of the rabbits. The first two were Laura Herring and Naomi Watts, and then Scott Coffey was Jack Rabbit, and then Laura had some other commitments and couldn't continue, so David called Rebecca, and she got into the rabbit suit, and she was a rabbit.
I love it.
Jack Rabbit.
I know it's funny because we have Jack Rabbit mentioned in the series there with Bobby and maybe his make-believe place with his dad.
Yeah, and then you have Jack Rabbits from Rabbits. Ben and myself were talking how we feel this return of Twin Peaks is almost like a love letter to everything David Lynch has ever done. Somehow, some way, it's like Easter eggs throughout of just a reference to art, music, his movies, his short films.
Yeah. You've been watching it. What did you think of the new series, John?
When I saw the cast list announced, it came to my mind that what David was doing was making a magnum opus, or his grand unified field, of all of his work. And I do believe that that's what the series is becoming. It's definitely his magnum opus. It's an 18-hour movie.
Yeah.
That's just stunning.
Well, before I go, I want to say, we're going to the Twin Peaks Fest in about a week, and I know you'll be there, so I can't wait to meet you in person.
I'll be a vendor there in high school.
What will you be selling there?
All 3 editions of Blue Bob.
Very cool.
Nice. I'll definitely be getting one.
Thank you so much, John, for your time. Rest and get well, and I hope you're doing all right after your surgery.
Things are going well. I just went to the doctor today, and everything's checked up good.
Thank you, John.
You got it. See you in the trees.
Thank you, John Neff, for talking with us. It's really cool to hear the behind the scenes of that song.
Before we go, we have yet another interview for everybody.
Sometimes I think we do too much. 2 interviews, we're doing part 10, we're doing it all.
This is a good episode.
It is.
Every week I say it's a good episode, but this episode is just better than the last. We have Andrew from the 25 Years Later webpage.
Yeah.
He did an amazing markup of our origin story on the 25 Years Later webpage. He did a great interview with us. You can check that out. We said, well, hey, you get to be on our show too. So here is Andrew from 25 Years Later.
So we're here with Andrew, who recently did an interview with us on the 25 Years Later site.com. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good.
I thought it'd be great to have you on the show, and you could kind of tell us a little bit about the website and what you guys are doing. Can you tell us like a history? How did this get started?
Yes, so a few months before the return premiered, I kind of just had this itch that, I'm a lifelong fan. Strangely enough, I watched Twin Peaks as a child with my parents when it was originally on. So I was 5, 6 years old when the show came out.
Wow.
But it's still, yes. So I distinctly remember my parents being very into it. I remember my dad being convinced that Josie was going to be the killer. I remember them talking about it all the time. So it's something that I just kind of grew up with. And I remember the finale, the season 2 finale. I had nightmares for years after. And I was terrified. And my parents were trying to kick me out of the room. And I'm turning over the corner because I really wanted to see what was going on. And so Twin Peaks has been a huge part of almost my entire life. And I had an itch to do something creative around the time the return was coming back. But I didn't know what it was going to be. And I was sitting at home one day, my son was taking a nap, and I was reading John Thorne's book, The Essential Wrapped in Plastic. Yeah. And I just really started to remember how much I love that deep dive, analytical look at Twin Peaks and about how it's so much more than the surface. And it just hit me. I was like, I want to write. And that's where the initial idea was born. That was probably 3-4 months before the return premiered. I put out some feelers on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I'm going to start this thing, and I really just planned on it being a tiny little blog, and all these people just started coming out of the woodwork, like, hey, I'd like to help. I'd like to be a part of that, and now it's much bigger than I ever planned on it being.
It's a beautiful layout you have for the webpage.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Can you share with us some of the team? Who's part of this website?
In the beginning, there was a bunch of people that said they wanted to be a part of it, and then when they realized, how big it was going to be, they just couldn't commit due to how busy their lives were. But there's a guy named Justin and a guy named Bryon that were from day one that both just said, we're in on this. And then I started talking to the hosts of Bickering Peaks, and Lindsay and Aiden, and they both just fell in love with the idea, and they came on board. They're like, hey, we would like to help. We both enjoy writing in addition to podcasting, and can we write with you?
Awesome.
And then they started introducing me to a lot of the people that are the team now. Lindsay introduced me to John Bernardi, and then she introduced me to a lady named Eileen, and the team just kind of really took off from there. Laura Stewart, who is over in the UK, she was one of the next team members to join, and it just kind of kept snowballing from there, and now we're up to 11, including myself.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's cool. Would you say every day, pretty much, you have content coming out?
So it's 7 days a week, and we have at least 2 posts a day. We actually have a schedule where I put it out typically on Saturday or Sunday. I kind of let everybody know, here's what I know is definitely coming out what day of the week. Here's what spots I have open, and then people kind of fill them up quick. And we try not to put too much out there so people have a chance to read it, but we try to have a post out in the morning and a post out in the evening. And a lot of them are regulars. For example, every Monday night, I have a feature called The Waiting Room. And in that, it's kind of a blog more than anything, where I'm just kind of giving my thoughts on the previous night's episode. And I'm strictly looking at the storylines in Twin Peaks, the storylines with Mr. C and the FBI. And we kind of made a choice to break up the story threads. It really so we could do better writing on it. We have Eileen has a feature that comes out on Tuesdays called Homeward Bound, where she follows Agent Cooper, currently Dougie Cooper, and she's strictly focused on his journey. And then on Wednesdays, Laura Stewart has a feature that comes out called Who Killed Ruth Davenport, where it's the South Dakota storylines, and then she's also kind of absorbed Buenos Aires and then Arlington when that city was featured, and she's just kind of grabbing up all the new locations as they pop up. And that way we feel like we kind of do a little bit better analyzing by not trying to look at the entire story, just one writer doing it.
It's a great idea.
It really is.
Yeah.
Nice. And John Bernardi is a good friend of ours. He's been on the show many times.
Yeah.
And I love his piece that he does where he kind of looks at all of the Twin Peaks podcasts last week in Twin Peaks.
And that's how I was introduced to him. He got a hold of Lindsay. He saw the site. I think we'd been up for a week or two. And he's like, I want to do this. And Lindsay made the introduction, and he had this idea in mind. He's like, I'm already listening to all these podcasts. And he's like, I want to write about them. And I was like, okay, like that sounds like a brilliant idea. And now it's a hugely popular feature that we have on the site.
It's very ambitious to try to like find all the Twin Peaks podcasts, listen to them all, and by the end of the week be able to give you a summary of all of them. And then he a lot of times he'll say what was his favorite of the week.
If anybody could do this, it's John Bernardi, though. I mean, seriously, he's the man. He was meant to do this.
Oh yeah,
I call him the hardest working man that I know. I mean, he literally is. And it's not just this feature. He has all kinds of ideas. Last night, he sent me an email with this really well thought out, intricate article, and it blew me away. And it tied together so many small theories that I've been talking about with people just on social media, and John just had this amazing way of tying everything together. And it's not the first time he's done that. He always has ideas just for regular features, and the guy's brilliant.
John was going to do his own blog, like he had his own ideas, and I think because of your site, I think he basically ditched his blog and decided to put all of his energy into 25 Years Later site.
And it's really cool. He had a lot of stuff written for that blog already, and like his timequake theory that he's been on your show talking about.
Yeah.
I remember that episode pretty distinctly. He's like, well, can I post that? Yeah, I was like, absolutely. Like, I remember listening to that episode of your guys' show where he talked about that, and I was like, oh, that's way smarter than anything I could have ever come up with, but it's brilliant. Of course it's put that on the site. And he's an extremely hardworking guy, and he's somebody that I talk to at least 6 days a week. You know, we have a group messaging app because nobody lives in the same city. Yeah. All of us writers. There's 3 in the UK. There's Lindsay's in Canada. I'm in Cincinnati. We're all over the place. And so we use this group messaging app, and we're just constantly bouncing ideas off each other. I've kind of fell into the editor-producer role, which I didn't see coming. I thought that I was going to be more of a writer, but now I'm kind of the one that's doing the social media and going over ideas with all the writers. And it's been really cool because, you know, like John, for example, will have an idea, and he brings it to me, and we talk, and it's just like talking Twin Peaks with your friends, you know, only awesome. Now we're writing about it.
Well, it's an awesome site. And you also do interviews with people as well?
Yeah, so we've there's probably 5 or 6 interviews up on the site. You know, in addition to you guys, we interviewed the guys from Counter Esperanto. I've interviewed Scott Ryan, John Thorne, Bickering Peaks. So we do have a few interviews up right now, and it's something that we're looking to get more into. And then recently I had a chance to interview Nicole La Liberté, who played Daria in parts 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks: The Return.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
so
really
that's
cool.
something we're kind of branching off into now.
I gotta read that. That's great that you got an interview with her.
I just happened to get a hold of her on Twitter, and she got me in touch with a publicist, and it worked out really cool. And it was very exciting. You know, it was the first time that I'd done a phone interview, and obviously I transcribed it. You know, before that, everything was just kind of emailing back and forth with people, and so it was a huge first for us. And she was super accommodating, and she was pretty happy with the interview too. So that was one of those moments where, if the other writers and I were in the same city, we probably would have done a really cheesy group high five.
Awesome. And it's not easy to get interviews with the actors from Twin Peaks.
Yeah, we've had a lot of no's, and we've had a lot of, hey, we'll talk to you in September.
Yeah,
we get
so
that
we
too. So I mean, September will be an exciting time. What do you think's next for you guys? I mean, you guys are just going along every day, turning out stuff.
So a lot of the regular features can kind of go on for a while, and we're having those discussions about what happens after the return's over. And we've kind of agreed that for the first year, you know, just hypothetically speaking, say this is the end for Twin Peaks, September's the end, there's at least a year of good theorizing ahead of us.
Oh, yeah.
You know, once we're able to kind of see the big picture. And then we've kind of talked about branching into looking back at a lot of the old stuff, and then also into David Lynch and Mark Frost's work individually. So we're having those conversations and kind of splitting up who wants to do what. And, you know, the content, it probably won't be 7 days a week forever. but there's still a lot of cool stuff to write about.
Oh
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. I know we talk about the same thing all the
Yeah.
time. It's like, how long do you do it for? But I mean, when you think about it, even when the show's over, we got the Mark Frost book, and I'm sure there's other things.
Other
to talk
things,
for a
yeah.
while.
And who knows? What if they do another season? you know?
Yeah, cross your fingers.
Now,
Yeah, you never know.
Twin Peaks is going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, and they have Hall H that Friday. People are going to get a special screening of episode 11.
Yeah, before
And I'm wondering if they're going to make an announcement.
that would be a great time to do an announcement.
I feel like, I mean, if any time to be an announcement would be there. I don't know. Fingers crossed.
I had the same thought when I saw the Comic-Con stuff, and then in addition, Kyle MacLachlan did the Facebook question and answer. He
Yeah.
was on one of the morning shows, the Kelly Ripa show.
Oh, was
Yeah.
And then he did an interview with a Holly Reporter. So there's a lot of publicity going on right now. And, if they were going to make an announcement, Comic-Con would definitely be the time.
You know, I think the marketing by Showtime on this series has been very on point. I think they've been on top of it. You gave us a week off from the show, but they kicked in that promotion. They kicked it up a notch just so it stays out there, so people know it's still out there. And yeah, I just feel like something could be said or done at this at the convention.
Yeah,
there.
this panel though is incredible. To get Kyle MacLachlan there, to get Tim Roth, Dana Ashbrook, Kim Robertson, Matthew Lillard, Everett McGill, James Marshall, Don Murray, and Naomi Watts. I mean, that is in quite a lineup. I mean, like, I know, I was like saying to myself, I was thinking about this, and I was like, is there any way I could go to this? And there's like no way. There's no way I can go to this. And like we're going to the Twin Peaks Fest, like a week later or so?
Yes, it's
so,
next
like,
weekend.
Yeah.
And Damon Lindelof is the panel master.
Right.
And how cool is that Damon Lindelof is the host panel?
I
That's
know.
awesome.
He's a huge Twin Peaks fan. I'm a huge Damon Lindelof fan.
Yeah, so am I.
Both Bryon and I love Lost.
Yeah, and the leftovers. The
Leftovers
leftovers.
is incredible.
I
I still haven't seen the last season.
I haven't
have
watched
you?
the last season, but
It's
season
really
2 was probably by far one of my favorite things I've ever seen on TV. I mean, besides Twin Peaks.
Season 3 is really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was difficult when Twin Peaks came back, like not being able to watch The Leftovers. It's like, well, Twin Peaks is on. Obviously, I'm going to watch that. I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow to watch The Leftovers. And it was like, oh, can I just stay up a little later and go into work late tomorrow?
Yeah. You know, ever since Twin Peaks came
True.
on, I think Scott Ryan said it best when he said he would watch like Fargo or something else, and he goes, I would enjoy this more if this was Twin Peaks.
Oh, that's only, or you basically say all
Exactly.
he wants to do is
Watch
watch
Twin
Twin Peaks.
Peaks.
He's like, forget all the other shows.
Yeah.
And I honestly haven't watched any other show and just Twin Peaks. That's it. So
Yeah.
once Twin Peaks is over, I'll catch up on all the things I missed. And believe me, I have a list of shows I want to watch. But like every day, me and Ben are texting, we're talking. I'm on Twitter and Facebook, and it's all Twin Peaks. And I just kind of I just want to enjoy the ride.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Sometimes I don't know if I'm savoring it enough. It's like, I'm so like excited
We're
about
in
it.
it,
It's like,
yeah.
I'm so in it. It's like, I almost wish I could step back and just like look at it. But like, I just feel like I'm so into the show.
Yeah.
And so, Andrew, what do you think of what you've seen so far? What have you been really enjoying about Twin Peaks?
So I'm definitely enjoying all of it. It's kind of interesting what you were just saying. Like, there's part of me, like, now that I'm so involved in a project related to Twin Peaks, that, like, wonders, like, okay, if I were just watching it, like, would this experience be different? And I'm so caught up in the day-to-day, minute-by-minute, like, ooh, let's write a theory about this, that it's made for it to be a really exciting time. You know, majority of my day, unless I'm with my kids, my family, or at work. I mean, even then, I'm still thinking about Twin Peaks.
Yeah, right.
I can't lie.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's on the brain. My 2-year-old says, "Daddy, are you going to go watch Twin Peaks?" Like, you know, it's a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
So he gets it.
That's great.
But you know, it's interesting, like watching the show. Like it's overwhelming a lot of times, just because Lynch and Frost are pulling off something completely unique. It's obviously not a nostalgia trip. This is something that has the potential to change television.
Yeah.
In terms of an 18-hour film, in terms of the pacing. They're doing so many things that are completely unique to what we see, that, you know, they talk about the golden age of television, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, The Leftovers, all these Game of Thrones, all these really amazing shows. And Twin Peaks took it up a notch. They really did. And it's a lot like in 1990 when Lynch and Frost came out and said, okay, so you're used to Dallas and Dynasty. We're going to play in that realm, but it's going to be completely different. And that's exactly what they're doing here. You know, we have this anti-hero in Mr. C, who's a lot like a Tony Soprano or a Walter White from Breaking Bad, but it's still different.
Yeah.
And they've got us thinking about it like, do we still want to root for the anti-hero, even though we did in all these other shows?
Right.
And they're making it a thing. Okay, I'm going to rewatch Part 8 again. And I knew that there was something I was missing. And I think a lot of what I was missing was those first couple scenes with Mr. C and Ray. I got so caught up in the atomic bomb that I didn't appreciate just how amazing those first few scenes were in the show.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know, as a television viewer, you're sitting there thinking like, okay, well, Mr. C is going to pull out the gun. He's going to shoot Ray, end of story. And they completely flipped it. They reversed it. And they told us Ray is a really important character in this. And I know I kind of thought of him as a lesser character in the story.
Yeah.
And Part 8 told us no, like, he's a big deal moving forward.
I agree.
Yeah.
I totally thought Part 8 was like, okay, this is the episode that Ray dies. Like, it's set up to, he served his purpose. He's going to give the information to evil Cooper, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then, to totally flip it.
Flip
it
the
was
switch.
awesome. It was awesome. And then to be able to shoot Mr. C there and think that, is he dead? And what's happening? And
then we saw him sit up.
Right.
And he had no blood on him. He sat up, and he was completely free of Bob.
Healed by the woodsman.
Yeah.
Bob,
And I'm now still questioning whether whether Bob did leave him or not. It's still
Well, they showed him them pulling Bob out of him. So
maybe
they showed it.
I don't know. What do you think, Andrew?
I think it's debatable, but if you asked me to place a bet, I would say that Bob left.
Yeah.
And that now, this is just a prediction of mine, I think that Bob is moving towards Twin Peaks now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where and you guys, we've talked about this, not in this interview, but prior, about how we think the setting of Twin Peaks is going to become more important in the next 9-10 episodes.
Yeah.
And I
definitely.
think that Bob's heading back. And a character maybe like Richard Horne, somebody like that, you know, he's already an evil dude.
Yep.
We've seen him do some bad stuff. Toss Bob into the mix.
Oh, yeah.
You know, somebody like, so something like that could be in play.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I kind of feel like we got all these setups, and then the last 8, the payoffs on all these small little setups.
I hope
we've
so.
got. Yeah.
I hope so.
So that's the question that we've kind of been debating, is how many of these small storylines are going to be paid off? You know, how much of it is just going to be, I mean, Lynch is big on showing us peripheral characters in a lot of his films and in Twin Peaks, where we don't always see how their stories conclude, but it's realistic to how the world is. You don't always see what the end game is for everybody.
Yeah.
So we might be left wondering about some of these characters, and maybe we'll get the resolution to Laura and Cooper and some of those characters, but maybe we don't get all the answers to a character like Shelley's daughter, for example.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with Joel.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just showing that this world is alive and breathing with all these new people.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, if we got another season, we might see more of that.
Yes, we have enough. We have enough fleshed out storylines that we could continue this into season 2. Is it? Would it be season 2 or would it be season 4?
The return.
The return.
Yes. So
the return part 2.
Yes.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I texted Ben this, and I feel like we might get another funeral for Major Briggs, because if his body gets returned and it's said, hey, this is Major Briggs' body, well, his wife is going to want to see him one last time, and I'm almost thinking we might see a lot of familiar faces at Major Briggs' funeral.
That's something they did it in the original series.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
Yeah, there's another theory floating around about the funeral idea and kind of bringing the town together for one big scene. Only the theory that I've heard, and I can't take credit for it, is Harry Truman. You know, with the progression of these phone calls talking about how sick he is. And the last time that we saw Frank, like, it seemed like Harry's diagnosis was a lot worse. And the idea of never seeing Michael on Keene, but having a service for him and bringing the entire town together for the beloved sheriff. And that would just rip my heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad he's not part of the show. And every time they do the phone call, I'm like, oh no. It's gonna be one more phone call where it's gonna be like he passed away or something.
And I don't know if either one of you listened to Entertainment Weekly's podcast, Twin Peaks.
No.
Podcast.
Yeah.
So
I
you
think
hear-
that's where I got it from.
Yeah, it was interesting though.
That might have been where I got it from.
They were talking to the actor who plays Frank
Yep.
Truman, Robert Forster, and he says on the set, Lynch comes up with a scene of the phone call with his brother. So that wasn't part of the original script. I thought that was like, what? I think that's, at least that's what I thought I heard.
Interesting.
This is me and the dentist listening to this, so who knows? I could have misheard it, but I swear I heard, that he says, like, Lynch on the fly just says, I'm going to create a couple of scenes for you, and it's going to be you talking to your brother just on the fly. And it's like, so that, to me, that's like, it'd be really interesting to see if he did that. Where is the story going? Like, did Lynch know where he was going to connect to it, and he felt like he needed another scene with his brother, or I don't know.
Maybe.
Huh.
It was a really cool thing.
It opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, so much good stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I think we gotta go, Andrew. But it was so good talking with you. I do really love your site. 25 years later.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Tell people how they can go to your site and follow you on social media.
So we are on Twitter at 25 Years Later, and we have a Facebook group where we post our links daily. The Facebook group is just called 25 Years Later. We're the WordPress website that we use. You can sign up to get an email every time we post, or if you're a member of that site, you can sign up to follow us on there. So we're pretty active on social media. When we enjoy really discussing our posts with people, that's kind of the fun part of it, because at the end of the day, we're fans. You know, we want to talk to people about our theories, and we have our weekly Thursday night debates that we call Black Lodge, White Lodge, and those are really fun because people they take a side. You know, they say, "Oh, I'm on Andrew's side," or "I'm on Bernardi's side" of an argument. And,
Cool.
You know, that's really what this is about. It's celebrating the return of Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Andrew, for being on today's show, and thank you, John Neff, for being on today's show. We appreciate it, and thank you, the community at large, for listening to us, giving us that 5-star review, giving us that great review on iTunes. We appreciate it. Our podcast has maintained and has stayed in the top 200 of TV and film on iTunes, and we very much appreciate that.
Many days we're under 100. I mean, it's always fun to see that. And
we fluctuate. We fluctuate along with Diane, a couple other of the podcasts out there.
Twin Peaks, the EW.
I'm really interested to see how we maintain this, because the podcasting recap kind of thing is getting crowded. Game of Thrones had just started. Now, Game of Thrones has flooded the TV and film podcast charts. And so it's interesting to see. Now we have Game of Thrones in there, and we still maintain. Will Twin Peaks still maintain to stay in those charts? And so far, so good as of today. So that's awesome. And we thank everybody who has written us on Twin Peaks TwinPeaksUnwrapped@gmail.com, who has followed us on Twitter, who has liked and comments every Sunday night with me on Facebook. I love it. And we're reaching our 900 likes goal, which is really cool.
And to all you YouTube listeners,
Yes.
even this episode, I was counting how many times do I
Now, this is something Ben didn't know. And I never thought about it.
But I didn't know how much it irritated some people.
So we're addressing the in the room.
And I probably will continue to do it. I will try to edit out and get rid of those as often as I can.
You know, it's human quirks that we all have, and I never thought about it because I'm in the room with you and I've known you for so long, and you doing it, not knowing. But I mean, it's good.
I'm nodding and not saying.
Yeah. So Ben is reining in his and
I don't know if I am, but
we'll do our best.
I'll try.
You'll try.
So yeah, we're all over the place. You can definitely check us out, and thank you for all your support. And do you have anything else you want to say before we go?
Yet again, I feel like every show we go longer and longer.
Some shows, I think Sparkwood 21, they have a whole feedback show. I mean, they're amazing. They have their regular part show, and then they do a feedback show. We don't have the time, unfortunately, to do that. But I think that's awesome. I love what Sparkwood and 21 are doing, and you guys are awesome.
So before we go, I do have, because I've passed off the feedback the last couple episodes, and I enjoy doing it. So these are some of the comments we got in from Sunday night to now on our Facebook. I always post a photo every Sunday night after the show airs. The community talks about it. It's great. And I really enjoy it. Nathan wrote, the new season has consistently delivered weird scenes and authentic nuances that surprise me as an old Lynch fan. And even with some clear Lynch tropes. I like it more and more. And yes, Laura is the one. My perfect hot cocaine Jesus. Hashtag faster and faster. And man, that is the truth. Laura is the one. And it's true, even this episode, even though I wasn't too keen on some of the fluff, this is like one of the first episodes afterwards, I felt like the old Twin Peaks. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that song. But there was something about this episode that kind of lured me into this feeling of nostalgia for the original show. And there was a comfort to it. I can't place my finger on it yet. But I don't know. Did you get that feeling at all from this one?
Oh, yeah. And, Rebecca Del Rio, I almost felt like the world spins. Like, I felt like there was a little bit of touch of Julie Cruz.
That could have been it.
And the world spins. And so I felt like there was that atmosphere. And she's not doing Julie Cruz, but there was something about that atmosphere that I just felt like it reminded me of old Twin Peaks.
Yeah. And, there's a few other people who said that. John wrote, this episode felt the most like the old show. I didn't need or expect that, but it was nice, like going back in time. And John said it perfectly. I felt the same way. Like, yeah, and I think a lot of the people in the community were kind of saying, yeah, this kind of felt like old Twin Peaks. And maybe because we're so far into the season, we're becoming comfortable. And I think this season started off very uneasy for us. Like, not in a bad way. We don't know what we're getting into. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of unease because these are new characters.
The characters we don't know.
Yeah, but now we're getting into the rhythms. Yeah. So maybe we are becoming comfortable with what we're going through.
I also think that they purposely did it this way, Mark Frost and David Lynch. I do, and I definitely think there's a lot more music than there was from the first parts and stuff like that. I hear a lot more music when I'm
Badalamenti
music,
yeah.
And sometimes you're just so into the scene now you don't always even notice that they've got the music going on. But I think, I definitely feel it. I think they're purposely turning it into. I want to believe this, anyways, that it's becoming more of the Twin Peaks that we know.
Yeah, I do agree. And I got one more comment from Luke. This is on our Facebook page. Thought this was another great episode. Worked mostly on a thematic level, really pushing towards the climax with Laura at Gordon's door. The waters are rising. Feels like a dam might break soon. That's true. Yeah. I mean, everything's bubbling to the top, and before we know it, it will be over. I just want to enjoy this journey.
I'm trying to enjoy it. I know there's so many emotions, and you're always trying to figure it all out. And I keep trying to tell myself, okay, calm down, just enjoy what we got, and just take it all in, because it's gonna be over in 7 weeks.
That's scary. I don't want it to be over.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Jamie, who's always emailing us. He emails us every week, and he's always got a lot to share. And I think every week I keep saying, I want to mention Jamie, because Jamie, he's so cool, and he always has a lot of great things to talk about. And I think last week he was saying how funny we've gotten, and it was nice to always hear that positive stuff.
Yeah, and we both, Ben and myself, we read the emails we get at twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com. And Jamie, we read your emails. We appreciate it. Just because we don't write back doesn't mean we got it. We appreciate it. Sometimes life is very busy.
But I enjoy the feedback. And I thank you
keep
to
it
everyone.
coming.
Keep it coming.
So with that, Ben, we wrap up another episode of Twin Peaks Unwrapped. We'll see you guys next week.
Watch and listen to the dream of time and space. It all comes out now, flowing like a river. That which is and is not. Hawk. Laura is the one.